Zach Reynolds here alongside Luke Hamilton and Oilers head coach Rob Murray for this week's virtual coaches show. This is your first time listening. We do this every Tuesday unless we play on that day or it's a travel day. And this week, starting off after a really strong week, 4 wins over the Wichita Thunder, 3 on the road, 1 at home. And on top of that as well, Matt Lane taking home ECHL Player of the Week this week. That was just announced a couple of hours ago. And obviously, that's the best week he's had this season, not just statistically, but overall. And what do you think it is that brought him to be able to produce 6 points, 4 goals, and 2 assists in just 4 games, including 2 game winners?
Well, Matt, we've talked about it all year. I think he's a quality player. He just was really snake bit as far as scoring went. And as with anybody, you start scoring, you feel better about yourself. You get a little bit of confidence, and he's definitely got that jump in his game right now, and he's playing a lot better. Within the time that we had off, him and I talked about what he needed to, what was keeping him from scoring, and I really felt that he was overhandling the puck, and once he got it on his stick, he tended to cradle it too much and stick handle it too much, where he needed to get rid of it quicker, be it a pass or a shot. And he definitely, kind of took that to heart. He worked on it all on our 10 days off. And I think it's kind of got into his head now that he needs to do that. And it's such a defining little thing, like in the game of hockey, where if a player overhandles the puck, that's that split second that the defender could either get in the way, put a stick down, goalie could get across the net, whatever it is. But sometimes you've got to explain to these guys that that's all it takes. I know it's probably not even a second. It's a fraction of a second. But in the fast-paced game of hockey, that's all it takes. And he definitely, like I said, took it to heart and was working on it all week. And I think that actually, in my eyes, it really made a difference.
A kind of continuation on that a little bit with that. Do you think sometimes if a player has gone to a different league, like in his case, going overseas and playing on the larger ice surface and, a little bit different style of play, that could kind of lead to a guy, holding on to the puck a little longer? You have a little bit more space there, obviously, and the game is played a little different. And then kind of adding on to that further, when you talk about the confidence, do you think it's maybe sometimes understated how important confidence is to a player? Obviously, everybody in their life has things that, can be confident about. And whenever you're kind of feeling down on yourself, it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And with confidence when it comes to athletics, do you think that is sometimes not looked at nearly enough as to how important it is?
Well, and to answer your first question, I think you're right. I mean, I had a lot of experience with the Olympic size ice sheet because we played on that in Alaska. And yes, you got tons more time. I mean, it's amazing how much more room there is out there, and perhaps that might have had something to do with the way that his game had evolved, playing overseas last year and having that extra time and extra space to make plays. So things happen a lot quicker in North American style hockey. And, maybe it was a little bit of an adjustment for Lehner to kind of get back to that. As far as the confidence goes, yeah, you're right. I mean, all walks of life. I mean, you feel good about yourself, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, whether you're going to work and, digging ditches or you're playing hockey, like it is a mindset, and it's a huge factor. I've seen it throughout my whole career as a player and a coach. Even for example, the other night, and Plush he's pretty dry all the time, but he came off the ice Saturday night in Wichita. We were on the power play, and he had a pretty good chance. And I said to him, because I didn't really see where the puck went, and I asked him, I said, did he make a save? Did you miss the net? Well, I didn't see what happened. He looked at me, he goes, I'm never going to score again. And then Sunday afternoon, game winner, big goal for him and big goal for the team. It's little things like that, like, again, Plesh is not a guy that was more tongue in cheek as far as, he's never going to, and I said, don't worry, you will score again. I said, maybe not tonight, but you'll score again. I'm sure of it. And so, that in itself is kind of a little example of guys. But then on the other hand, like I said, Plush is a little tongue in cheek, but then you get guys to be like slamming their stick and kicking the boards and slamming the gate and basically saying, I suck. Like I'm never gonna do this, that kind of thing. So there is a lot of the game that is mental preparation, mental, kind of getting yourself into that mode. And when things are going well, it's much easier to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually listened to an interview yesterday with Mike Sullivan talking about Evgeny Malkin at the NHL level, and obviously one of the best Russian-born players ever to play the game. And he talked about just over the past 5 years working with Malkin, how much confidence plays into even his play. As he talked about when he's feeling down, he's about as bad as it gets sometimes on the ice. And when he's feeling great about himself, obviously he's Evgeny Malkin and one of the best players in the league. So that definitely plays into it. But I kind of wanted to go back the week prior to this past weeks of games. You and the group got an opportunity to be at the Oilers Ice Center, getting some work in on that smaller ice to sort of build off of, players playing on different ice surfaces. Do you think that kind of helped this group out in making quick decisions? We saw 2 power play goals this past week against Wichita too. You got a chance to work on the power play on a smaller ice surface. Maybe less time means quicker decisions and better decisions. Would you say that getting some work on that ice surface helped a little bit this week?
I think that could have been a factor, Luke. I think that was definitely, especially on the power play. When you do power play over at the OIC, there's just no room. And, you got 10 guys out there, if you include the goaltender and within a small area. It makes you play faster, makes you make quicker decisions. And, it could have very well been a factor, that's for sure. And I think that one of the things that I was looking forward to going over the OIC more than anything was, believe it or not, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but I almost got a feeling that we're just too comfortable being at the BOK all the time. Like it's a beautiful place, great facilities. You go over the OIC, it's a community rink. It's more of a little more of a hardship of the guys to go over there and practice every day, and a little bit of adversity. We got 2 shower stalls and anyways, it is what it is. Right. And like I said, it's a community rink, and we all did it. I mean, throughout my whole career, that's what you did. You're at a secondary rink, and it was a community rink that doesn't have the facilities that your big rink does. And I said to both Tony Denzer and Zach Desjardins after we finished that last game, I said, this is going to be good for us. Like we need to have kind of a little bit of a grounding here, and these guys are going to. But when it's all said and done, like guys enjoyed being over there, and more than anything, it's a lot closer to the apartments, so it's travel wise it was a lot easier. So. Even Stefan Beauvais was riding his bike to practice every day. So, there was a lot of things that went into our days off. And I think that, like I said, maybe a little bit of a wake up call that back to basics here. And it was good to have those days off. Now I can look at that, hindsight being 2020, I can say that it was good for us. At the time I wasn't sure how it was going to all pan out, but so far, so good.
Talked about adversity and the power play and special teams this past week, especially on Sunday's game. You look there, 8 power plays for the Thunder. They only find the back of the net once on that, which is far below what their rate has been, in the last, say, 10 or so games. When you play in a game where there's that many penalty kills that you have to go up to, especially when most of them are the full 2 minutes. Is it kind of a confidence gainer in some points when you're killing them off? But also, how much does it affect what you're able to do, keeping lines together and with guys, coming in the box, coming out, and having to keep the penalty kill out there? How difficult is that to manage throughout a game?
Well, I'll admit, as a coach, I missed a change or two. We ended up, there was one time there, we only had 4 guys on the ice after we killed the penalty. And I called the wrong guy. I think it was McNulty had just come off on the penalty kill, and I called his line up. And it turned out, somebody jumped. I mean, which guys are very, they're paying attention, and they realize that I made a mistake, and that so somebody jumped. We weren't short for very long. Yet, to your point, I think that you lose that flow. You know what I mean? Like you just, line after line when you're playing 5-on-5. And because we were killing so much, and there's only a limited amount of guys that I do use on the penalty kill for the most part, they're not only are lines getting shuffled and different combinations going out there, but these guys in general, like that's very fatiguing on them too in a 60-minute game when you're killing that many penalties. And so I don't know how many of the penalties necessarily, like even when we went down 5-on-3, I thought after watching the video, Mike McKee's hit that he got called for boarding, he actually missed the guy. Like, I mean, it really wasn't even that big of a hit. And so there's a couple of calls we talked about after the game. Like Plesh said that the one penalty that he got there, the one that they scored on, like he didn't even touch the guy. He just, he fell, and it looked like because Adam was in the area that he tripped the guy, but he, and Adam's not going to lie to me. He came to the bench after the penalty, and he said, "Murr, I didn't even touch the guy." So so sometimes, yeah, we had 8 penalties against, but all in all, like we survived it and got our own power play goal to win the game on. So it's in the course of a 60-minute game, so much can happen, and you just gotta kind of just go live in the moment and just keep going.
In that game on Sunday, the full 60 minutes, it was sort of hard to evaluate the 5-on-5 play just because, of course, it was broken up by a lot of penalties for both sides. How would you evaluate the 5-on-5 play? When you weren't having to kill a penalty, did you feel like, there were parts in the game where you really could have grabbed a hold of the reins and due to a penalty here or there, did you feel like it got disrupted? We know the 5-on-5 play on Saturday, was about as good as it got all year long that we've seen out of the team.
Yeah, and I think we were probably better on Saturday 5-on-5, quite honestly. But you got to take into consideration, and this is where you evaluate where you are in the days, the games, what have you. And here we are, just beat Wichita 3 straight in their building. Yeah, it's a 4 and 5 nights, and it's an afternoon game here in Tulsa, but you had to expect Wichita to be desperate to salvage something out of the week. And I thought they played a very good game, and probably for that reason, we were better on Saturday night. I wasn't disappointed in our 5-on-5 play on Sunday, but I thought we were better. We were a little bit more aggressive on Saturday night than maybe we were on Sunday. But overall, I thought we still played a pretty solid game, and I think probably the way things are, or at least last week went, that we are playing well enough right now. And this isn't to say we're not playing well in general. We're playing well enough to win games. And I think we've got better yet we'll take the wins when we can get them. And that's what we did last week against Wichita.
Lately, we've seen your top defensive pairing, Hamonic and McKee. You've mentioned it many times. Their role isn't to be power play guys. They're not there to be offensive defensemen. They're there to shut the other team down. But here, as of late, both of them have been contributing on the score sheet. Mike with the goal, picking off that clearance, and then he's got 4 points in the last 3 games. Hamonic had a 3-game point streak before that. What do you think it is that is bringing them into the offensive column? Because it doesn't seem like they're jumping up that much more. Anything you think is just a bit of confidence in the general overall play of the team?
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain things. I mean, I've mentioned the word purpose. We need to shoot the puck with a purpose. Well, if you want an example, Mike McKee's goal on Sunday afternoon, he shot it with a purpose, and there was no. I'm not sure what goal he might have stopped that at any level. So that was, with Mike and Hammer, like they've been so solid for us all year, and they are matched up against the other team's top line every given night. So yes, we're not expecting or needing. I suppose we always need it, but we're not expecting the offensive output by those two. Now, I'm not going to not take it. I mean, we need it from everybody, and so they've been both bringing a full game. Like they've been contributing offensively. They're doing their job defensively. Two of the biggest guys in the league, and they're both good hockey players. So we're fortunate to have them.
And to get the addition of Garrett Cecere and to see him on Sunday for the first time. Of course, you had plans to see him maybe earlier in the week, but you've had a lot of guys, of course, come in this season not having played hockey in a while. And how did you think, out of the gate, his legs were jumping and overall his game, at least through one full game that we've seen so far?
Well, as with everybody this season, I think he's going to get better and better. And but we were satisfied. We liked his game, knowing that he was a little jittery a couple times with the puck early. I think that was just nerves and excitement, probably. He was intense. He actually came in. I was at the building by about 9:30. He was already here. He was out on the ice, just getting his legs out. So he was prepared. Like I said, maybe not the cleanest game yet. He did some good things, and he's just going to get better. So it was good to get him in the lineup. He also had the benefit of being able to practice with us the whole 10 days that we were off. So it's a situation where, unfortunately, he got sick earlier in the week, had a stomach bug, and we didn't get him in the lineup in Wichita, which we had expected to do. But he was feeling better by Friday, and then I stayed with the same lineup and got him in on Sunday. So we'll see better and better out of Garrett Cecere, that's for sure.
And speaking of new additions, made a trade this week with the Orlando Solar Bears, getting Alan Lazarchuk coming in from them. I played in Fort Wayne before. Obviously, sending future considerations now, so you still have that same group of guys as far as that goes on the weekend. But he's a winger. He put up some really good numbers in Fort Wayne and in the OHL before. What is it that fans can expect from him as he comes in? And also, seeing him in Fort Wayne last season, did that kind of factor into why you wanted to bring him in? Because obviously he had a good season.
Yes, and it even goes back further, Zach. Like, I was in on the recruiting process. I was in on him. He just chose to go to Fort Wayne last year. It was between, I want to say it was us, Fort Wayne, and maybe two other teams that were trying to get him. Idaho was interested. Anyway, so he's a guy that had interest coming out of junior, and I tried to get him to come here, but he chose Fort Wayne, and that's the deal, right? I mean, you don't get everybody that you're trying to recruit. So he became available on, I believe it was Saturday morning that I got a text from Drake Barahowski down in Orlando, and he was asking if I had any interest and, how these things play out. What are you looking for? He said, at this time, I just need futures back. What kind of futures? I don't know. What can you offer? So it goes back and forth. It's a progression until you get to that deal. And I know there was a couple other teams in on him as far as this trade went, but we won the trade, and he'll be in this evening. He's driving in from Orlando, so he will be in the lineup tomorrow night in Allen. So what my expectations are is that he brings that scoring touch that he's shown in junior and also last year in Fort Wayne. And I remember keeping a good eye on him when we played Fort Wayne, because here's a guy I tried to recruit. I wanted to see what, maybe I lost out on. And I was really impressed with him last year. He's a good skater. He's he can really bring the skill set that maybe we're lacking overall. Like another guy that could bring that part of the game, and I've been kind of looking for that in the last little while. I know that we've been getting scoring throughout the lineup, especially with Matt Lane now scoring, but yet you really need to give it an opportunity. I think I couldn't pass up on trying to bring him in here.
Allen's a team, that's fluctuated their roster as well a bit. It'll be a different team a little bit, of course, since the last time we saw him. And a guy like Allen coming in here, Lazarchuk, in this roster, is there maybe a mold or a few guys that you have in mind that you'd like him to play with? Do you feel like, of course, with your history of recruiting him, that you sort of have an idea of what would work best? It seemed like in Orlando, it just wasn't quite clicking as much as it did in Fort Wayne. And it could just be, who's playing with.
Well, I actually talked to his agent yesterday, and I asked him, I said, what happened in Orlando? Like there's always a backstory, right? And for one reason or another, or the way their team right now is structured, they are top heavy with skill. And the three of us have talked about it. You have to, your roster is built on different guys. You got the role players, you got the guys that are supposed to score the goals, you got the power play guys, you got the penalty killers, you got guys that are going to fight. You got to have that whole package. And I guess in Orlando right now, they felt that maybe they had too much of the top level skill, that they didn't have enough of that grinded out type guys. So that's the reason why they were looking to move him. And, I go back to our first couple games last year when we had all our guys down from San Antonio at the time and San Diego. And I was looking at a lineup. I was like, man, are we good? We look good on paper. Well, all 10 guys wanted to play on the power play, and there just wasn't enough puck to go around. So we weren't as good overall because we didn't have that mixture of players early in the season. As the season rolled along, we got better with Nevins and Ward and guys that we brought in that made a difference that way. And so maybe that's the situation Orlando feels that they're in right now. And as far as Al goes right now, going into tomorrow night's game with Charlie and Danny Moynihan getting called up, he fits right into basically right on right up top there. And, we'll have him on the first power play, and hopefully I can put him in a position to have success in what he brings.
You mentioned about trading, kind of the process that goes on through there. And I'm sure many people will be kind of interested. What's it like throughout the season with trades as a coach? You see some emails come in that guys are available. How often is it that you reach out to teams maybe just to feel out, what it is they'd want and see if you are interested? And, how often do you think, maybe not percentage, but, is it quite a few times that you end up thinking, hey, that's too much, that's not what I want to do? Or typically when you reach out, can you reach an agreement?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the asking price, right? I mean, it's you're not going to overpay for somebody, and you don't want to lose out on a trade. I mean, if you break even, that's the best, or that's kind of the line that you're looking at, right? You don't want to get beat on a trade. Like I don't particularly am always looking, yet we get those emails, and it's usually on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning where coaches are fed up with what they have, where they'll put out 5 or 6 guys names, and so you don't see, even though that there's players that have kind of been put out there, you don't necessarily see those guys move during that week, and maybe not ever. And so, it's interesting to see those emails. I very rarely jump into the thread and put anybody up for trade. I think, quite honestly, my 4 years here, maybe I've done it twice. But But sometimes you got to look at your roster and know where you might be able to improve. Well, you have to put value out there also. You can't be, not to disparage the guys from that are called up from the Southern Professional League, but on a Monday morning, you can't be trying to trade those guys when you just called them up from that league. So, a lot of times there are names that are intriguing. And I do. I mean, I reach out to the coaches, whether it be a phone call or a text or an email, and ask what they're looking for. And a lot of times it's just too pricey and too expensive for me. And I don't feel that it's worth making that trade and worth changing things around here when, depending on, it is a mindset. I mean, if things aren't going well, you're looking to make a trade, but then again, you got to sit back and say, is it worth it? Is this going to make the difference? And then on the other hand, you're always kind of questioning, well, why is this guy available? Like, what is his backstory? Like, is he not a good guy in the room? Is he lazy? Is he, there tends to be more to it than coaches just trying to shake things up. So you got to do your homework. And like I said, I'm not one to move guys around too much, and I like to kind of work with what I've got. And but given the opportunity to upgrade or to improve our team, that's something that you always look at.
And sort of the unique contract situation kind of with this year is, of course, some players are essentially on loan with their contracts, going to their original team for teams that aren't playing this season, things like that. Does that make it any more difficult or at least different throughout the trade process throughout the year? And then, of course, these teams, I'm sure, are looking at these players that they're going to get their contracts back for, and they're going to be evaluating these players as well, looking at, the rosters and how they're playing. Is there a conversation with those teams about that at all? Or does it make it any more difficult sort of to move guys or make decisions on a long-term basis for the season?
Well, that was a unilateral decision by the league. And the beginning of the season, when these teams opted out, the rule was that all players on those rosters were free agents. And, they would not be able to go back to the team that they were originally signed with. Somewhere along the lines that changed. And the league changed that to that. And it was I would say maybe a month and a half ago, the ruling got changed. So we already had Cockrell here, a guy like Keenan. His rights will be owned by Toledo. Sasir's rights are owned by Reading. Then you've got now Lazarus will be, I believe, his rights are in Idaho. So it's when that rule was changed, my first thought was I'm not bringing in guys that I'm going to lose at the end of the year. Then my thought on that changed to a point where you got to live in the moment. We want to be as good as we can be right now. Like, don't worry about next year. Next year will take care of itself. There's a whole new recruiting process, coming this summer. So I've got more of a thought that I don't want to build my whole team with guys that I'm going to lose, obviously, but bits and pieces. Hopefully we can make, change or bring guys in the off season that fill those roles that maybe the guys that we're going to lose back to the other teams in our league. So I've got this attitude now. I just want, we need to win games, and we need to win them now. I'll worry about next year when next year rolls around.
A player that you do have the rights to, you brought him into camp, and then the numbers game kind of changed things. You said it was a really difficult decision to let him go. It's Tyler Coburn. You bring him back. He's playing very well here as of late. He's on a 3-game point streak. Kind of a tale of two goals. In Wichita, he got a bit of a bounce off of a player's skate. And then here on Sunday, he made a fantastic move after driving to the net to beat a really good goalie in Wenninger. What is it you think that is allowing him to play at this level for the time being? Do you think it's just confidence as well, or something else?
Well, I'll let you in on that one. I brought him in, got mad at him the other night. Like I said to him that we just came off of 10 days, and one of the things that Tyler falls into is that he needs to move his feet, and he's a good skater, but he has a tendency to hold back. And I told him, I said, we just came off 10 days of practice watching you fly up and down the ice. And this is the conversation I had with him. I said, but you're not doing it in the game. And that was after the second period in, I think, Friday night in Wichita. And after that, he is like, he's doing what I'm asking him to do, and he's moving his feet. And that goal that he scored on Sunday afternoon was a great example of that. I mean, he cut across, right winger to the left side, picked up the puck, basically out-muscled the defenseman for the puck, and then went in and, like you said, made a fantastic move on the goalie. So he has that ability. Everybody to a player has to remember what makes them good, what makes them be able to play at this level. And that's one of the things that he has to do, is move his feet. And after I had my conversation with him, he definitely has done that. And I think that, going back to the adage, players don't know what they don't know. I mean, maybe he didn't realize he wasn't, utilizing his speed, and he thought that he was doing okay. And it wasn't to my expectations and my standards. And he's brought that now.
It's sort of moving now here to this upcoming week. Last week was last week, and of course that's the mindset that you're going to bring to the table for the group. Is we've got a new task now, and Allens, they've always been a unique team in the league as far as what they bring each and every night. And of course, you want to just play your game, but you've got some new guys coming in here. And what does this team need to get to find a way to get to a similar result that we saw last week as much as they can against Allen?
Well, it's the same old. We just got to play the way that we can play. We play to our potential, and go in and give ourselves a chance to win. Both of our goalies have been playing really well. Our defensive game has been good. We talked about the penalty kill. We're doing it, getting the job done. Our power play is coming along. We're chipping in there. We're getting positive returns on our power play. So just a lot of the same, Luke. I mean, we just got to, we got to take the lessons learned on going back to, let's say, a while back when we basically dominate Rapid City Friday, Saturday, and then we sit back and allow them to take the game from us on Sunday. Well, that was my message on Sunday when we came in here. It's not good enough. 3 out of 4, you can look back and say that would have been good, but given the opportunity to take 4 out of 4, you don't pass that up. And that was one of the things that I was really impressed with, is that we did that on Sunday, and we did not allow Wichita to come in here and steal a game. So we got to take that moving forward and just keep playing at the same intense level that we have been for the last little while.
You mentioned earlier in the interview the call-ups for Samper and Winihan. Obviously great for them, but difficult as now you've got to switch some things up, especially with those guys being on your top line. Is there anybody that you're looking to step up, and any maybe adjustments to be made to fill that gap in scoring and puck possession down in the offensive zone?
Well, obviously Charlie and Danny are very hard to replace. I mean, who's kidding who? And but that's the job you got right here. That's what happens at the ECHL level. Sometimes you get pillaged of your best players, and I really think they'll both do very well in San Diego. As I said, it is what it is. You got to deal with it, and you just got to keep moving on. And I think that gives a guy like Vincent Marlowe a chance to step up and play potentially some big minutes in Danny's spot. Lazarich will come in, and hopefully he'll add what we get out of Charlie. So I'm confident that we've got the firepower left with Danny and Charlie leaving. Yet it's going to be a big hole to fill, and we talked about it all year. I mean, other guys just got to step up and get the job done.
Well, I think that's all we've got for you. If you've got anything unless you've got anything you want to add. I think it seems like another successful show.
All right. As long as you think it was successful.
We will we'll
All
catch
right.
up with you tomorrow there at Allen, and obviously good luck.
All right. Thanks, guys.